Two things awe me most, the starry sky above me, and the moral law within me. One is not rich by what one owns, but more by what one is able to do with dignity. Riches ennoble a man's circumstances, but not himself. Rules for happiness. Something to do, someone to love, and something to hope for. Only he who himself, enlightened, is not afraid of shadows. Live your life as though your every act were to become a universal law. He who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with men. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. Give a man everything he wants, and at that moment, everything is not everything. Genius is the ability to independently arrive at and understand concepts that would normally have to be taught by another person. The death of dogma is the birth of morality. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. Thoughts without content are empty, intuitions without concepts are blind. Dare to know. Have the courage to use your own intelligence. Patience is the strength of the weak, impatience is the weakness of the strong. Procrastination is hardly more evil than grasping impatience. For peace to reign on earth, humans must evolve into new beings who have learned to see the whole first. Maturity is having the courage to use one's own intelligence. Morality is not properly the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. Treat people as an end, and never as a means to an end. The reading of all good books is like a conversation with the finest minds of past centuries. Only the descent into the hell of self-knowledge can pave the way to godliness. Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. Religion is the recognition of all our duties as divine commands. The only thing permanent is change. It is beyond a doubt that all our knowledge begins with experience. He who would know the world must first manufacture it. Out of the crooked timber of humanity, no straight thing was ever made. The history of nature begins with good, for it is God's work. The history of freedom begins with badness, for it is man's work. By a lie, a man throws away and as it were annihilates his dignity as a man. Woman wants control, man self-control. When I could have used a wife, I could not support one, and when I could support one, I no longer needed any. Never wish to see a just cause defended with unjust means. The greatest human quest is to know what one must do in order to become a human being. The human heart refuses to believe in a universe without a purpose. The outcome of an act commonly influences our judgment about its rightness, even though the former was uncertain, while the latter is certain. A lie is a lie, and in itself intrinsically evil, whether it be told with good or bad intents. A ruler is merely the trustee of the rights of other men, and he must always stand in dread of having in some way violated these rights. War is bad, in that it begets more evil than it kills. The hand is the visible part of the brain. I had therefore to remove knowledge, in order to make room for belief. Have the courage to use your own understanding. Dare to think. Great minds think for themselves. Enlightenment is man's leaving his self-caused immaturity. Immaturity is the incapacity to use one's intelligence without the guidance of another. Happiness is not an ideal of reason, but of imagination. Look closely. The beautiful may be small. You only know me as you see me, not as I actually am. Ingratitude is the essence of vileness. Feminine traits are called weaknesses. People joke about them, fools ridicule them, but reasonable persons see very well that those traits are just the tools for the management of men and for the use of men for female designs. Have the courage to use your own reason. That is the motto of enlightenment. It is not necessary that whilst I live happily, but it is necessary that so long as I live, I should live honorably. The wise man can change his mind, the stubborn one, never. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. One who makes himself a worm cannot complain afterwards if people step on him. All human knowledge begins with intuitions, proceeds from thence to concepts, and ends with ideas. The nice thing about living in a small town is that when you don't know what you're doing, someone else does. The question is not so much whether there is life on Mars, as whether it will continue to be possible to live on Earth. There can be no doubt that all our knowledge begins with experience. Man's duty is to improve himself, to cultivate his mind, and, when he finds himself going astray, to bring the moral law to bear upon himself. Which quote did you like the most? Share your opinion in the comments. Subscribe and turn on notifications, so you don't regret missing life-changing advice from some of the greatest thinkers in history. I will see you in the next video. Take care.